So welcome everyone. My name is Judith Dumont and I am the Director of Professional Development. And I'm going to be spending the next about 90 minutes with you really demoing and showcasing and modeling some virtual engagement tips and tricks that you can use through the platform of MS Teams. I'm also going to show you a couple of my other favorites beyond MS Teams that are actually very MS Teams friendly. So everything I do, I will frame, I will talk to you all about it. And I want to be really clear that I'm setting a very, what do you call that? A flat, I like the idea of a flat. Does a flat circle make sense? Just this idea, if we were in a classroom right now, we'd be sitting in a circle and we would all be having dialogue, we would all be talking, and there would be no clear hierarchy where you have to raise your hand to talk. So what I'm saying to each of you is, please feel free to interject. I am doing this training as a solo artist, right? And so typically sometimes I'll have someone running the chat. Today I do not. And so I just want to put that out there because usually in PD we'll have a producer and a presenter. But today I'm a one-person band. So I like to, like Beyonce, not Destiny's Child, right? So I mentioned that because I will be attending to the chat. So if you see my eyeballs kind of popping back and forth, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to be multitasking for each of you. Hopefully you can all see my screen. I want to talk to you about where we're going to go today. I picked out my 4 favorite, and I would say probably the 4 most vital things that people are talking to us about in PD and that we're talking to Microsoft EDU about, who's one of our partners that we've been working really intentionally with. The CTL team PD and then Microsoft EDU have been working really closely, specifically since about August, since we've come from home and really wanted to deliver just powerhouse instruction on a virtual platform. And so I've got my name and contact information up here. I do, again, want to be very intentional. So everything I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be framing for you. The platform I'm actually using for my presentation today is not a PowerPoint, and don't get mad at me. I still love PowerPoint Live. PowerPoint's still probably my go-to when it comes to presenting, but sometimes when I'm doing webinars or I'm doing more visual presentations, one of my favorite tools, and I'm going to drop this in the chat, y'all probably already know about it, but just in case, my favorite platform that I've been using lately, mainly because I think the design aesthetic is a little more modern looking, and it's a little more user-friendly sometimes. It's called Canva. So I'm going to drop this in the chat where you can see this. This is a free device. Not only can you use it for presentations, but they have really cool graphics you can make, really short MP4s, which are video files. You could even do resumes. I actually did my resume on this as I was competing for my job that I'm currently sitting in. So I'm a big fan of Canva, and I want you guys all to know about it. Canva also has, I'm going to hit escape real fast here just so I'm not presenting anymore. Oh, whoops, let me go back. And this is where we go. Okay. They also have a feature now. Let me click out of that. They also have a feature now in Canva where you can actually present live. So you can go into live mode to where people can actually come in and leave questions or comments as you're presenting, which is really, really cool. And so I encourage you to check that out. So there's an autoplay, you can do presenter view, but it's really easy. You can build everything here and check it out. There's an educator version as well. Okay, I'm going to get back to the topic at hand. But let's look at today's agenda. Let me do a standard presentation. As I mentioned, I'm going to be talking through my 4 favorite, I would say, tips, tricks, best practices within MS Teams. I am swimming above, I would say I'm out of the shallow end of Microsoft Teams and I'm sort of in the middle waters, okay? So I'm assuming that most of you have the average use of Microsoft Teams in your back pocket, meaning you know how to open it up, you know how to chat, you know how to raise your virtual hand. If any of you don't know how to do this, I highly encourage you to check out the PD listings for basic training where we can level you up to that. So just know I am starting at an intermediate level as I talk to you here today. So the 4 things I really want to focus on, knowing that I had a lot of faculty in the virtual classroom, fingers crossed, was that you're probably struggling with how do I use Microsoft Teams to the best advantage that I can to incite that student engagement, that emotional engagement, that social engagement, while I'm also teaching, hard and steadfast learning outcomes. I'm thinking about all the nursing faculty in the room. I'm thinking about people who are teaching government and English and math, and even some of you out there who might be in instructional support, who might be tutors, who might be instructional support services, because all of this is going to be vital for you, and all of this is going to make your job. Again, the title of this presentation was to make MS Teams work for you. We want to work smart and hard, right? But smarter versus harder, right? We don't want you to have to take 10 steps if you could just take 5, okay? And so this is all about ease. This is all about intentionality. And it's also about framing, all right? Because as someone who's very, very happy to present live all the time, face to face, stepping into this virtual platform has really been a learning curve. I'm sure some of you all probably feel the same way, that you've had to sort of flex a different creative muscle when it comes to teaching and presenting, and to make sure that you're getting your point across. I know I have a lot of faculty friends, some who still teach standing up while they're teaching virtually, right? They refuse to, they're like, I can't sit still and teach. So they're actually setting up platforms and like making sure that their cameras in a space where they can walk and talk and still use their hands and all of that. So it's been, like I said, a creative muscle flexing that we've had to do differently. And sometimes when you invoke different parts of your creative muscles, you get a little sore, right? You might need to stretch a little bit differently, and you might have to think about, how can I show up to make sure I'm still doing the very best I can, albeit a very different environment. And so the 4 things I'm going to show you, and I'm going to tell you why I picked these things. The first one's going to be about connecting with Together Mode. I know some of you probably already know Together Mode and you've already seen it, but I'm not taking for granted that you all know what that is. And I also want to showcase some new features of Together Mode that just dropped in the middle of December. So while a lot of us were right as we were closing for break, there's a few features of Together Mode that came out that are really cool that I want to show you too. So connecting with Together Modes first. The next thing we're going to do is really practice polling and participating. So I'm going to be modeling for you 4 different ways that you can poll or get instant feedback from your classroom or from a meeting space, that's going to bring people's voices to life. I think that's really key, specifically in a virtual environment. You never know if a student's slouching in their chair or if they're actually listening, right? And so by creating moments of instant engagement, instant virtual engagement and live polling, this is a way that you can capture what the classroom's feeling, what the classroom's thinking, where the classroom's getting lost, in a very instantaneous fashion, so that you're able to really keep the pulse of the classroom and make sure that you're taking people in the direction that you want to take them to. The third piece here is going to be about breaking out and brainstorming. So I don't know if you all know this or not. Some of you might, but breakout rooms dropped. I believe it was the week of Thanksgiving. I remember thinking, gratitude breakouts all happened, and it was like in one moment breakouts occurred. There's a workaround we're going to have to do, because which I like to think we're modeling problem solving for you, and I'll tell you about that when we get there. And then we're going to look at bookings. There's a bookings feature. I don't know if you all have used this or not yet. And then there's also schedule assist. And I've had feedback from department chairs and from different administrative assistants across the campuses that booking and schedule assist is probably a quick fix. A lot of you all might not know about it, but when it comes to your office hours, when it comes to your availability, or when you're seeking out meeting with other people, these are going to be really quick and fast ways that you can peruse someone's schedule to see if they're actually available or not. But it's also a way for students to find out when you're available for them without maybe going through 25 different emails. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and dig into number 1. Let's go to okay, so I'm a quote person. I like to say I'm love quote soup, right? So anything that has to deal with quotes, I'm good. So I'm going to frame each one of these learning outcomes with a quote. The first one, I'm a baseball fan. Forgive my sports analogies, they happen a lot. But Babe Ruth said that you may have the greatest bunch of individual stars in the world, but if they don't play together, the club won't be worth a dime. And I say this because, all right, we got a shout out for Atlanta Braves over here. Carla's shouting out. I say this because I think sometimes in a virtual environment, like I'll just be honest too, like I can't read the room right now. I'm literally sitting in my living room, staring into a tiny little web camera, trying to figure out if even half of you are listening to what I'm saying. I never know if people are listening. And I'm sure as instructors, you all feel the same way. And so one thing that you could do that's really quick and really easy and a really great check-in is this feature called Together Mode. Raise your virtual hand if you've used it or if you've seen it. I see Luann says yes. A couple of you are raising it. Carla's got her hand up. Courtney does. I know there's 20, I see like 4 or 5 hands up. Okay, so I'm not speaking to an entirely expert group on Together Mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drag my screen in right here for just a second. You'll see my face go to the side like a 90s glamour shot, but that's only because I'm looking at my second screen, not because you're not important to me. So what I'm modeling here is if you click on these ellipses, and I would love for you all to go there now, you will see here that there's an option for gallery. There's a large gallery preview, and there's Together Mode. Now, this large gallery preview will light up when everyone flips their webcams on. So at the very beginning of today's presentation, I said, heads up, we're going to use our webcams for about 10 minutes. But again, I don't want to assume all of you know exactly how to turn Together Mode on from the very beginning. So I'm actually going to pull up this and pull this over. I'll be doing a lot of this, by the way, dragging and dropping into the screen. So if you don't have Together Mode and you're trying to figure out how that can work, what you do is, and I'm going to call this your trusty Microsoft Teams mugshot. Do you see this little mugshot up here of me? I'm going to click on that. Oops, it just clicked on search. Let me try that again. Okay, I'm going to click on this. Okay, and then I'm going to go down here to settings. Okay, so again, click on your mugshot. Go down to settings, which I'm doing there. You have to do this to get Together Mode on. Here, I'm going to go to general, right? So here you'll see I'm in different layouts or format. Right here, do you see this box? I know this is probably small on your screen. I wish I could zoom in, but the second to the last one says turn on new meeting experience. New meetings and calls will open in separate windows. It also requires you starting teams, right? But Together Mode is part of this new meeting experience. It's been around since about August, but a lot of us haven't known about it, which is fine. But if you could just click that there, the next time you open and close Teams, it will definitely be available. So I say that because what I'm going to do now is pull this back over here. Oh, I like that. Her Brooks quote. I just saw that. What I'm going to do now, if you all dare just play with me for a little bit, turn your webcams on. P.S. If you don't want to show your face, you can always take a Post-it note and lay it right over your webcam if you want. But if you could turn your webcams on, I'm going to show you what Together Mode does. We're actually going to watch a short video about it after we experience this. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to click here on Together Mode. I'm going to blow this up. And what you're going to notice is that it's going to create a 2-dimensional live interactive space, so that it's us sitting all in like the Brady Bunch squares. Y'all know what's coming. I have people making faces. You can actually get, oh my gosh, you can get the nonverbals of your classroom. Like there really are people here listening to me talk, which I never know if that's happening or not. I always think my partner thinks I'm completely nuts because I sit in the living room and he's like, who is she talking to? So this is the new feature I want to tell you all about. What's great about Microsoft Teams Together Mode is the fact that you can read the room. It's so hard to read the room sometimes when you're teaching virtually. It also, you'll notice the minute we clicked into this space, how many of you just automatically smiled? Did you smile? Did you sit up a little bit straighter? Did you lean in? Did you all of a sudden look at someone else and like give a nonverbal cue? Well, that's exactly why Together Mode was created. I am going to show you the video, and it talks about how different parts of the brain light up when you're actually sitting in this space that simulates, and like it simulates engagement and it simulates being in the same room, right? But if you click down here, this is something that just came out in December. See how it says change scene? Check this out. I'm going to click here and we're actually going to change up our setting. So depending on what kind of classroom you manage or what kind of environment you're in, you can actually pick different types of environments, right? So, you know, when at our holiday party that we did, we actually changed it to the igloo. I'm going to just turn it into a Mario Brothers. Isn't that like Super Mario Brothers? I'm going to click apply and all of a sudden we're going to be in a gaming situation, right? Boop, 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 boop. I won't sing to you. But so this becomes a different environment, right? And you can, yeah, you can try to give someone a virtual high five right next to you, maybe. Ching, ching, ching. I think that's a Mary, right? And then I can also pick a different scene, right? So I'm going to come back over here. And let's say that we're in a geology course, right? We're talking about osmosis. I just made that up. I definitely took rocks for jocks in college. I was not the strongest science student. But now all of a sudden we're in this, natural landscape and all of this is happening. One thing that I've been really intentional about when I'm in together mode with people is on the first day of class, on the first day of a training session, I will actually screen grab this and then create a takeaway picture for everyone, right? So here we are in the first day of class, ding, and everyone takes a picture and you screenshot it. And then you can drop that picture instantaneously into the chat, which people seem to really like. So if you all will, I'm going to pick a cleaner background for this one. Oh, did people turn? Oh, okay. That does not accommodate as many people. So learning moment, right? I just realized that I probably need multiple rows. Let's go back to the traditional one. If I've got more than a certain number of people, because there we all are. So with y'all's permission, I'm actually going to go ahead on the count of 3. I'm going to show you all how you can do this. We're going to take a group picture. I'll send it to Dr. Laredo so we all get credit for attending today, right? But this is a great way to go about this. Hold on, I'm opening up my Snagit. It always takes a second. Come on, baby. Okay, here we go. So on the count of 3, if you will, kind of lean in a little bit if your face is down there. Did it open up? It did not. Let me try it again. Okay, now it's opening. Any day now. This is where, there it goes. All right, we're ready. All right, so on the count of 3, if you all will smile and lean forward just a little bit so your face is in there, we will take a picture. Okay, ready? 1, 2. It just went away. Okay, let's try it one more time. Sorry, y'all. Just keep smiling, right? This is terrible. There we go. All right. It got it. And now I'm going to capture this and you guys will see this in the chat in just a moment.
Someone keep popping in and out.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about some of the limitations of together mode is that you can't ever guarantee where you will actually, like if a student's coming in and out, it's not always going to be the most ideal screen grab for you. Oh my goodness. My computer's acting nuts. Okay. It's not always going to be the most ideal for you if you have people that are in and out, right? So if someone, I've actually got this in my presentation. I'm going to go back to here. When it comes to together mode, it's not always the most ideal situation if you're sharing your screen. So like right now I'm sharing my screen. When I went into together mode, it cut my screen off. So I'm actually going to go back to regular mode, which by the way, you could do this back and forth. You could always go back and forth on this. I like to, with my, when it comes to my team meetings or trainings, I will start in together mode and then I will go back to regular setting and then let people turn their webcams off if they want, because not everyone wants to be on camera all the time, right? And so now you'll see my screen sharing again. I'm back in large gallery mode so that this way it doesn't feel as convoluted, because when you're in together mode, it can't do everything that you want it to do. All right. And so I'm going to talk about this, about what's an ideal together mode environment versus what's a non-ideal together mode environment. As you know, as facilitators, as you know, as instructors, you've got to have a lot of different tips in your back pocket or tricks in your back pocket to guide you in the art of facilitation. So knowing when is the right time or when's not the right time to use something is going to be vital. So together mode is most ideal when, and you'll see my ... It's when the group or it's when you're meeting with the group, maybe for the first time to try to establish connection. I want to see your face. By the way, it's how we remember people's names. It's how we remember who our classmates are, right? And so for students, specifically those who might not have ever seen, literally never seen you in their life or never seen their other classmates in their life, this is going to be a great first way for them to get that impression. I was literally just listening to a podcast over the weekend, and they were talking about how when you don't interact with the people around you, when you don't need, when you can't lean over and ask them a question, when you can't lean over and ask for help, when you don't have an opportunity to be vulnerable with people, you're less likely to remember them, and they're less likely to create those grooves in your brain that create connection. And so coming up with different ways to make that happen in a virtual space is going to be really, really important. The second way that together mode is ideal is when you're leading class or a meeting and dialogue is the main activity. Okay, so sometimes when it comes to classroom space, you might be sage on the stage for the first 20 minutes, and then you want to open it up for questions or dialogue, right? And if that's the case, again, you can flip that right in the middle of class and say, okay, everyone, it's together mode time. Let's come in and share and connect. That's going to be a great way to do that. Again, you can flip it on for 10 minutes and then you flip it back out. It's not a big deal. The next thing is if you're really trying to read the room. Remember what I said, it's so hard, and I know I don't have to drill this home to you all. You're teaching all the time online. It is so hard to read the room when you are teaching live. And so this is a great way to take a collective pulse of the room and to see how engaged people actually are. Or if you're just trying to, again, read facial expressions to see what the feeling is, right, or what the connotation is. And it's also great when you're wanting to connect to the social and emotional nature of the group. I know you all know this, but social and emotional engagement are the top keys to retention when it comes to learning, when it comes to teaching. And so if you can, through the learning of your course material and inspire and ignite those two things, that's where the true magic of classroom happens, right? So think through that. So that's together mode. I don't want to be, what's the word? Oh, let me talk about when it's not ideal. Did I just do that? What I'm going to do is show you, I'm going to go ahead and show you this, even though it's not in presenter mode. Together mode is not ideal when you're sharing your screen to give content or a detailed lecture. Okay, so make sure that you're kind of being picky about that. Again, turn it off and on depending on what it is that you're actually doing. It's not going to be ideal for together mode if you're attending from a virtual, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. It's not ideal when you're attending your meeting from a mobile device or a smartphone. Together mode does work with an iPad or a tablet, but it has to be a certain size. Otherwise, it doesn't capture, because literally whatever artificial intelligence they have inside MS Teams, they're literally cutting out your, I don't know how they do it, but they automatically kind of cut out your frame. And so if it's on a phone or a tablet, it's unable to do that. Also know that if you're hosting less than 5 people or more than 49 people, MS Teams Together Mode will not accommodate that. So it's really, truly a great thing for people that are in a space. I know the average class size at TCC is about 25 people. That's probably the ideal size of a group for Together Mode as well. And then if you're moving around a lot, someone said, oh, that person keeps going away, right? Right now, it doesn't have the ability to hold someone in the same seat. So if I'm sitting still and then I run to get water and I go off camera and come back, it's going to pop me out somewhere else in the stadium or whatever setting you have. So just a little FYI on that. I see someone has their virtual hand raised. I'm just going to stop and check to see if anyone has any questions before I show the Microsoft Teams Together Mode video. Are there any questions? You can drop it in the chat. Or you can just, I see Catherine's hands up.
Could this be used to proctor an exam? If they were testing, could we use this to proctor their environment, I guess, to see if they're online or engaged? Or I think right now when we have, if it's on ExamSoft, I think it cuts off all other programs.
That is a really good question. And as someone who is not sitting in a dean chair or an academics chair, I'm nervous to answer that in front of all these people. But I will say this, I think someone could always have an evil twin that looks just like them, right? I know you log in with your TCCD credentials and you log out with them, so you don't get this without that. I would direct that question directly to your department chair or dean or student development services that deals with testing, just to be on the safe side, unless there's another expert in this room that knows the answer to that. I know when it comes to proctoring, it's.
But it cuts out the background. So if it cuts out the background, you wouldn't be able to see them if they had a poster board up on their wall that they were reading. So
that's a good point.
I would think it would do the opposite of proctoring, because you don't it takes everything out but their face.
That's right. They could all have all the answers stamped up all the way around them, right? I mean, I think it's a good informal check-in, but when it comes to formalities like testing and stuff like that, I would just lean towards all the caution in the world. All the caution in the world. Good question, though. Any other questions on this? I'm actually going to flip over here and show you all the together mode video. This is only about 3 minutes long. Give me a thumbs up if your camera's on to let me know that you can hear my sound. It should be working, but I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
Welcome to Collaboration Coach. In this video, we're going to talk about Together Mode, which is a surprise announcement for Microsoft Teams. Together Mode is a new meeting feature for Teams, and it allows all the attendees of a team.
Oh my goodness, Shaw. Sorry about that. Let me just pause it for a second and let it load. Let's try again.
Teams meeting to see each other in one space.
Bless you.
It's an alternative to the grid view that we're all used to, where we can see everyone in their own little rectangle, and they can choose their own background, and whoever is speaking gets priority on the meeting stage. With Together Mode, everyone is together on stage all the time, and the meeting background is shared, so it feels like they're all in the same room or theatre. Microsoft believes that seeing your teammates in this theatre view makes meetings more engaging by allowing you to focus on people's faces and their body language. It also allows you to see people's non-verbal cues, which are obviously important to human interaction generally, and just makes conversations feel more natural. Together Mode is going to be suited to calls where lots of attendees will talk, because you can see who's talking and the looks on other people's faces as they listen. So it should make it easier to enter into the conversation when you want to say something. A Microsoft study measured the brain activity of people attending Teams meetings using the traditional grid view and the new Together Mode, and they showed that the brain exerts less effort using Together Mode. They think it will help keep people's attention and stay engaged. And this will obviously help teachers. I know I've had this problem teaching using Teams where I want to see who's paying attention, and it will help speakers who get energy from their audience as well. Together Mode will not be useful if the speaker needs to share virtual or physical content. For example, if you need to share a slide deck or the physical whiteboard you're using in the room you're presenting from. Another quirk is the seating arrangement. In the first release of Together Mode, it won't be able to reserve the seating. So if you leave the meeting, you might not come back in the same seat, which apparently is really disorientating because people will no longer be able to see you where you originally were. And I guess that will take some getting used to. It won't work well for phones straight away because of the screen size and also the angle that you hold your phone at. If you're moving around in a physical space, it looks weird in Together Mode because you appear to be jumping around. It's going to work best when the camera is still and centered on your face. I've read that initially Together Mode is going to support up to 49 people on the stage at any one time, and it will work best on a screen that's at least as big as a tablet. Together Mode is a surprise announcement and has now been added to the roadmap.
I'm going to stop that because it basically just wraps up from there, but that's a little bit more information on Together Mode. Excuse me. If you want more information on it, all you have to do is very, very easily is Google it. I know that sounds ridiculous, but there are so many YouTube videos out there about Microsoft Teams. So if you just put Microsoft Teams and then insert the topic that you want to learn about, there are so many 3 to 5 minute quick video tips. A lot of what you see me talking about, I have taught myself and trained myself just so I can bring this all to you all. So again, this is going to be when Together Mode is ideal, when it's not ideal. And I really hope it's something that you use in your wheelhouse as you're facilitating classrooms or meetings, because believe it or not, I don't know if you caught what they said, but it takes less brain energy when you're in together mode and you're in a meeting. So I know you might be thinking, well, don't I want my students to have more brain energy in my class? Yes, that's true. But what they're talking about is when you're in together mode, you actually spend less time trying to stay focused. I know some of you all have heard this term called MS Teams fatigue, right? It's a real term. My eyelid twitched the entire fall semester. It went away during break, which is where I was like, wow, I'm on my screen too much. Literally, it tells you that it's going to use less brain power so that you've got more brain power for classroom concepts, right? And so just don't underestimate that power of socialization and this idea that coming together is going to be something that's going to create a more robust and engaging environment. So that's my first tip, my first trick. I hope y'all like that one. I'm going to pause to see if you have any questions.
Judith, this is Tom.
Hi, Tom.
I have a question. So I've been bouncing around to the different meetings, so you probably covered this, but I may have missed it. And that is, you know, in looking at my functionality that I have available on Teams right now, I don't appear to have this. Is this something that the college has not rolled out yet and we're waiting on that, or is it, I just don't know how to find it?
I'm going to show you how to find it again. I'm going to do this right now live. Can you all see my screen? Because it could be someone else that's popping in a little bit later, which is fine. So right now I'm sitting inside my MS Teams. You know, there's like the meeting you're in and then the actual platform. So over here I can access all my tips and tricks, all the different applications that I might use. Again, we're going to go to this top right-hand corner and we're going to click on your mugshot, right? So you're going to click on your picture icon, and I'm going to scroll down to settings. And Catherine, I'm going to knock out your question too while we're here about notifications, okay? But for Teams, again, for Together Mode, I'm going to click on settings. Bear with me. It loves to get really shy when I've got a lot of people in the room. And then you'll notice here I'm in my general settings. Stay right there. You're going to stay in your general settings and you're going to scroll down. And right here where it says turn on new meeting experience, make sure this box is checked with a purple box, and then Together Mode will instantaneously be available, but you have to restart Teams. So after you check this box, don't leave my meeting now. Please don't leave the training. But once you're out of Teams and you have a 5-minute break, if you restart your computer and then relaunch it, you will get the Together Mode experience. It will also enable large gallery. Okay, so right now, some of you might just have small gallery. I'll show this to you again. So I'm going to pull this in over here too. Large gallery also occurs, and large gallery is important because let's say that Dr. Mills is running a meeting with all his deans and he has 4 deans presenting topics in that meeting, right? And there might be 12 people in that meeting, but 4 are going to be speaking. With large gallery view, you can actually pin different people so that they never leave this area right here. Or you can actually see more than up to, I think it's up to 12 people in large gallery mode at one time. So it's really, really great. But again, I can click on Together Mode. It'll go right there, or I can just go back to regular gallery. But you have all of this at the tips of your fingers, and you can alternate your view as you're teaching. Again, I really recommend bookmarking Together Mode at the beginning and ending of class. It's like those huddles you have at the beginning of classes. What do we already know? What are we trying to learn? And at the end, what questions do you have? So put them back in that shared experience as you tie a bow on the end of your day. All right.
Once you activate it, then it'll show up in your 3-dot menu button.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That is correct.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're welcome. Don't worry about it. Okay, so Catherine asked this question. This is not on our agenda, but I'm going to show this nonetheless because I think it's really, really important. She said, oh, Judith, how do I get those really annoying purple ding boxes? I call them ding boxes. Ding, 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 that pop up in the middle of meetings. Let's say that you were in a meeting 2 weeks ago and one person asks a question and a series of chats fires off and you're just like getting slapped in the face with notifications while you're presenting, right? So that shows up there. There's 2 different ways you can do this. I'm going to click on notifications here. And when I do that, I can go down to chat and I can edit. So again, notifications, and then I went to chat. And then here, I like to be dinged when it's an @ mention, when my name is specifically tagged, right? Because usually it's someone from a 3G 8P work group needing something from me, or it's a team member that's like, this is really important. Can you answer this email or take this call? So I've got it only show in my feed, or I can do a banner. The banner's the purple box that pops up down here, okay? And it's also on your phone. PS, if you have a smartphone as well as your computer that you are operating off of, and I'm just assuming most of us have that, you have to hit the notifications on each separately. Okay, so on my smartphone, I actually leave my notifications on because sometimes I'll be doing this and also working on my phone. Don't judge me, but that's just the truth of the fact, right? Matter of fact, truth there. But I can actually show these in my feed, do a banner and feed, or I can completely turn it off, right? So here, I don't need to know every time someone thumbs up something or has the smiley face or the heart, right? I don't need to know that. I can click off and it won't show up on my computer anymore, okay? So that's how you can do that. Another quick and dirty way to manage your chats too, I'm going to go ahead and just click on my chats here. You're going to see some of my own chat threads happening as soon as this clicks over. And this is more for those group chats that happen. Oh, Lord. See, the Teams is getting shy and sleepy on me. Let's see. Well, basically, I'll explain this to you. If you hover over, oh, there it goes. So right here, let's just say I've got my own Team PD channel. We're always constantly chatting back and forth, right? So if I click on this right here, it's acting a little bit slow. Do you see these 3 dots right here? Do you see these 3 dots on this chat? If I click on that, by the way, y'all, if you click on things, your computer will not blow up. It will not explode. It won't talk back to you. It won't call you names. You can click around and just experiment, right? I think sometimes we get nervous to do that. But do you see when I clicked on that ... Oh, it's acting slow. I need to be patient. Okay, so right here, I can mute this chat. Do y'all see that? I can mute it. I can make it just be quiet. I could make it not talk to me, send me notifications. I can make it not tell me anything. So if I clicked mute right there, if this thread kept happening, no one would know. Well, they would know. I wouldn't know that all this banter was happening unless I unmuted it again. So I know that if I'm teaching for 4 hours, if I'm in a strategic planning meeting, if I'm in a hearing, if something's going on, I can do this and not be interrupted from it. I can also just run away from the conversation and leave. I can also pin it or unpin it. You'll notice I have this because it's my internal team. I've pinned this right here to the top. So if you've got a group of people that you're always working with, you know, Jeanette Laredo is important to me right now because I want to make sure y'all get PD credit for coming today. So I could also click here. Oops, let me do that again. I can click on this ... right here. I'm going to show y'all how to pin this because then that conversation stays at the top of my list. Okay. So here I can pin it. And see how that's tagged right there with pinned or recent. It's kind of like the new iPhone rollout. I don't know if you've noticed in that iPhone, you can pin conversations as well. So that's really important. All right. So a little bit about notifications and pinnings. I hope you enjoyed that. Now I want to go to the next topic if we're good. Do we have any questions? I'm going to look at the chat.
Judith, I have a question.
Sure.
I wrote it in the chat as well. I was wondering, and you may or may not know this, but is MS Teams available to all students? Because I know my instructors, they primarily work in Blackboard and do Blackboard Collaborate. And so I'm just kind of wondering, like, you know, do all TCC students have that?
That is a great question, and I love telling people the answer to this question is a big, bold yes. All students have to do to get everything that we're talking about is to go to www.office.com, where they have every single application in the Office 365 suite. And in fact, I've got Office open because I'm going to be showcasing a few other things to you all today. Oh, I know why it did that, because I'm actually in the internet. Hold on. Okay, so right up here, you'll notice I've actually got all these windows open, right? I've got whiteboard open because I was going to show you that. If you literally just go to office.com, oops, if I could spell office. Albert Einstein said spelling nothing had to do with, like, spelling has nothing to do with intelligence. So I'm safe. If students log in with their credentials, do you see all these applications down here? So Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Sway, OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams. There's the Teams right there. So that's where you access the Teams to download it as well. Okay.
Do you know if there's anything tricky that goes on if they have a Mac?
It does get a little bit tricky with a Mac. I will say this, don't judge me. I'm a Mac person when I'm not at work, right? And so on my MacBook, I have it. I know when we work with new employees to onboard them, sometimes there's a few extra steps you have to take with a MacBook. But if you just Google MS Teams download Mac, you can find a million PDFs out there that would give step-by-step instructions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I've got one for MS Teams live events that I can email you if you shoot me an email.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, so I see y'all have a lot of questions about some of these specifics. Can we do this? I want to make sure I get through some of these polling features really fast. And then Patrick, I'm going to come back to your question, and James, your question about sorting, which we can do that. So sorting chats, this is great because now I know what people want to learn about in PD. How do we find a team and know which ones we're on? So we'll come back to these. I'll leave the last 15 minutes for open-ended questions. Okay, does that sound like a deal, class? Yes. Okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to look at, because I think when it comes to creating a virtual engagement or a classroom that's filled and rich with virtual engagement, it's really important to get that instantaneous feedback. And so, oops, let me go back. You know, I told you I was going to start with the quote, right? And they're just jumping all over the place. I get so excited. Okay, so this is a quote from Robert Brault. He says, if I had to do it again, I'd ask a lot more questions and interrupt fewer answers, right? We all know that questions are important. It's really a great way. You never, as an instructor, as a leader, as a manager, as a supervisor, you never want to assume everyone is right where you're at. It takes a while to lead people to understand and to have this beautiful view of the big picture of what it is that you're trying to articulate. And I think, again, this is why I love working in a community college. I think community college professors specifically lead with teaching as their first passion, right? And so the art of instruction, the art of teaching is something that you really want to hone in on and do your very, very best work with. And so I wanted to show you all some ways, because I don't know about you, but in a virtual climate, it is so hard sometimes to, again, read the room. I'm going to say that a million times over the next hour, but it really, truly is. And it's really difficult sometimes to see where people are at. I know I used to be a professor, and sometimes I would just get people doing what I call the inquisitive head nod. Like they wouldn't ask the question, but standing in front of the room or walking around the room, I would see one person's face kind of twist, and I could see that they were right on the cusp of understanding something, or they were right on the edge of a really good question or a really good thought. And I would then say across the room, if you have butterflies in your stomach, you're supposed to be talking back to me because I just asked a question. And if you're nervous a little bit, you've got something to say, right? And so right when someone's on that edge, I could see it in their face, but I can't necessarily do that in this virtual climate. So I wanted to show you there's 4 different tools that I'm really passionate about that can help you get an instant feedback from your classroom, that you can get an instant answers about, other questions you might have, or you can actually have them do different activities. So the first one, do not pay attention to this dash. I just did the dash here just to get it on 2 lines without it smoosh. But the website's actually called mentimeter.com. It is free for a basic membership, so you can ask a couple of questions and a few quiz questions. I'm going to demo this for you in a second. MS Forms, which is I don't want to say it's my favorite because there's a lot of favorites I have with Microsoft right now, but Microsoft Forms is something I use a lot, like a lot when it comes to doing live polling. You can actually do live polling in MS Forms. There's a few catches to it, which I'll explain to you in a second. So MS Forms, you can do a set quiz or you can do a live poll. And then there's also Poly, which is another application that's built inside MS Teams that will also do live polling for you as well. To get started, I wanted to show you Mentimeter. So what I'm going to ask you all to do is, if you could, take your smartphone. You can either, there's 1 of 2 ways to access this. You can just go to www.menti.com. You can actually enter this in. I've got a code here, or you can hold up your smartphone if you've got another device and just take a picture of the QR code, and it's going to take you in there, okay? I'm going to escape. Bobby, are you talking about for Mentimeter? I see your comment. She says she recommends using the app. Not all the functions work on the web. So right now I'm inside my Mentimeter account. I'm going to go ahead and go into present mode. Although I want to start at the top. Let me go back. This is a great tool. I just used this in the Learning Commons Summit. They had their kickoff last Friday, and it was a really fun one. Okay, so if you all see this up here, it says go to menti.com and you'll use the code 8527465. So if you all could go to menti.com. I also want to give a very intentional shout out here. There's always a heckler in the group when it comes to using these tools. So if you're the instructor and someone comes in and they're putting in, inappropriate questions or comments, or they're kind of trying to get attention and be the class clown, as long as they're not making policy or procedure, just let it be. Have fun, laugh with it, lean into it. Sometimes, it just is what it is. There's always one in the group, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone here, but let's just check this out. So what you'll notice I did here, this is a scale, right? So I'm just having you guys drag a scale. There was a setting in Mentimeter where you could actually have the class average, like what's the average? And you'll see as people answer that this ticks and talks and moves and gauges, right? So this is all anonymous, right? And so again, sometimes we get nervous to ask questions. We get, let's say this is a departmental meeting and they're asking like, who wants to have a meeting Friday at 4 p.m. and you don't want to tell your boss no, but you really don't prefer that. You're protected in this setting, right? And so this is a really great way to gauge answers. See how I'm hovering here too? So I can hover here and see how many people answered what on each question as well, to really get a cool grip on what my collective classroom thinks without having to point fingers or put anyone, my students used to call it, on the corner of Blast and Front Street, right? Like, why you put me on blast? And so we don't have to do that. This is all very well protected, right? So I can see how many of you are participating in this and how this is going. So this is one style of question. There's many styles of question, which I'll show you, but pretty cool, right? So that's a scale that sort of gauges an opinion. It's a nice little Likert scale. I'm gonna go to the next question now, and you could stay in the same Menti group. You'll notice the menti.com is still the same number of 8527465. Use up to 3 words to describe your intentions for spring 2021. This is going to populate a word cloud. So as you all enter in your answers, I'm going to get one of those cool word clouds that really begins to kind of tell me what tone we're setting for the semester and maybe some ideas. So if I'm brainstorming different topics, if I said, what impact did, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is coming up, right? So I might, in a history class, say, tell me 2 gifts that MLK Jr. gave the world, right? And so if I'm teaching a history class and we're talking about him, I could generate a word cloud where we get to really think about, what is this legacy of MLK Jr. and what does this mean for us, right? I like survive. By the way, the more people say the same word, the larger the word gets, and the less the word is said, the smaller the word will get. So size matters when it comes to these polls, these word clouds, right? You'll see that more people, engagement, to breathe. I love that. I love empathy. That's a good one. Grit, love it. Succeed, collaborate, empower. Survive's coming up a lot. Engagement's coming up a lot, which I love. And so isn't this cool, right? And so you could also, I'm thinking of an English class, if we're trying to flex different ways to say the same thing, as a brain teaser or as an opener to a classroom setting, I might throw one word out and say, let's all try to use 3 adjectives to say this word in a different way, just to get our brains thinking in a linguistic sense, right? I'm just pulling things out of thin air here, but this is a great example. But isn't this cool? This is the word cloud. So those are the 2 open-ended questions I wanted to give you all. There's 5 I'm going to go through, so there's a few more. Here's the next Menti that we're going to ask. Question 1 of 2. So this is actually sort of like a Kahoot where it's an online quiz, right? And so press enter to start the countdown. I'm going to go ahead and start this. Oh. Did I just do that wrong? Let me go back. Did y'all see the question? Okay, waiting for players. Here it's coming. I'm sorry. I honestly have not demoed the quiz, so this is my first time to demo this. I've only used Menti and what you saw in the last 2 slides, but this is different.
I didn't see the question. Was
I
that
didn't either. What just happened? Okay, hold on. Let me not hide the results. Okay, let me try this again, y'all. I'm sorry.
I see something that says the hustler, but.
Oh, so you must be the hustler. You must be, who knows?
I'm
Okay,
the hustler.
Let me
Okay,
try this.
I'll be the hustler then. I hope everybody's not the hustler.
Well, I think I might have programmed this wrong, just to be 100% honest. I haven't used it before, this quiz feature. Just know you can do a quiz feature. Let me show you all what it is. I'm going to exit this and I'll show it to you. This will give you a leaderboard, so it will show you where people, how fast they answer and all of that. So basically what I did was I added a slide and made quiz questions. So I was going to say, the first question is what's the most frustrating pain point when working from home? So I did some research on this, and the answer is actually staying on task and motivated. So I was giving you 3 different answers to choose from, hoping that that would show up, and it didn't. I'm sorry. And then the second question was, what year was TCC founded? For those of you all who don't know, it was 1965. So we were looking for that answer. But I can go ahead and I'm going to do the last question for you here on Menti. It better work. This is where, the art of virtual engagement and virtual facilitation is to lean into your mistakes, to know that everyone's human and that sometimes, things fail right in front of your face. You just have to, the show must go on, right? So I'm going to go to the last question here on the Menti. This is a great way to wrap up a classroom or to take a pause for the cause, as we like to say during instruction, to make room for students to ask questions. So I'm just literally going to hang out here for a second. Thank you, Legine. I see you're saying patience. And just see if y'all have any questions for me at this time, right? These will pop in. This is a great way to end a webinar or a virtual classroom space, just to see if anyone has anything. So I'll just give you a moment to potentially drop in a question. We'll see if it's working. Is your background from MS Teams? Oh, good question. Yes, my background is. I actually just have the blur on. I'm actually sitting in the middle of my living room. And so I'm actually going to pull this over for just a second. You all will see this right here. If I click on the ... you can apply background effects. I have people that walk through the living room sometimes while I'm working, and so I like to blur it out. I didn't always, but other people have told me they don't want to see what's going on in my house, in meetings. So if you want to do different backgrounds, I know this one's a really popular one. So if you guys will watch my background, I'm going to click apply and you'll literally see it change. See how that just changed? So now it looks like I'm sitting in this gorgeous art studio. You can also do silly ones, but what's cool is you can actually add your own picture. So up here, if you click add new, you can add any image. And if you scroll down, you'll notice, like, this was at Christmas time. I had those holiday lights behind me. Halloween, I used the Shining hotel space as a background one time. And I've even used the TCC logo behind me. Like, so if I'm doing partnership meetings or meeting with people beyond the campus, sometimes I want them to know who I'm representing and who I'm with, and I've used TCC as a background for that. But to keep it classy and less busy, I mean, I think it depends on your personality, right? You can do whatever you want. I've definitely shown up at the beach, that's for sure. By the way, remember how I showcased, what did I call that? Canva earlier, canva.com, which is my presentation tool today. Canva.com actually has free downloads for Zoom backgrounds that work with MS Teams. So they've got some really cool stuff. They actually have templates for Canva background where you can put in today's agenda right behind you and have your learning outcomes as part of your picture. Awesome. All right, so we answered this. I'm going to go ahead and mark this as answered. So here's another one, MS Forms. We're going there next. We're going there next. That's exactly where we're going.
Can you answer, where did you pull up background effects? ...
on the control bar, which is right above where it says leave. And there's the microphone, the little webcam. There should be a ... which is the ellipses. Click on that and you'll see it all pop down. I find that students do not find trouble with device connectivity. I'm not an ageist, but I will say the younger the student, typically the easier time they have with it. And I'm speaking from a place of having a 9-year-old son who uses all of these in his own classroom in the 4th grade. So I've seen my fourth grade son use Kahoot, use Mentimeter, all with his teacher. And that's sometimes where I get the ideas to use them because, you know, they like to click buttons. So for me, I would say that, but you know, we don't always serve the traditional student at TCC, so keep an eye on your classroom and just make sure that you're there to answer, you know, to guide them if they need it. You have showed how the students can use it. How do we set this up as instructors? Good question. I'll show this to you as soon as I pull out of this one. How do you show polls in the chat? I'm going to show you that next. And then which do you like better, Menti or Kahoot? Good question. Okay, I'm going to be frank and say I'm a little, how do I say this? Kahoot is great, but sometimes it has really annoying music that plays and it's a little cartoony for me. So depending on my audience or what the tone of my presentation is, I'll use Menti versus Kahoot. Kahoot's great, but I tend to use it in the more casual, let's get happy hour sessions for PD or for more gamification, something with high energy. But if I'm running a webinar, a professional session, and I'm really wanting to keep it classy, I tend to use Menti because I think that the presentation is a little more business centric. More so than it could be. Okay, I'm going to click escape here. Someone asked me how we use this. I'm going to exit here. You can literally go to mentimeter.com and you can start a free account. I have a free account, which does have limitations. I know someone is asking if we can get this as a department. No answers there yet, but I'm going to go home for a second. I actually learned this at the Learning Commons last week. It's my new favorite tool, but you can do presentations and then you build them. And just like I showed you all the website or the QRC code, I can create a new presentation. I can have folders. Notice, of course, you can upgrade, right? And then you could even do your own brand or color scheme if you've got a certain, I haven't played with this enough to have my own brand or color scheme, which is definitely something that I will want to do. Yeah, but mentimeter.com, please check it out. It's fantastic. I'm a huge fan of it and pretty new to it. The next thing I want to show you all is the polling feature. Okay, so remember I talked about office.com. Office.com is your one-stop shop for all things Microsoft application. Forms is by far and wide probably my favorite tool. I use it all the time in professional development, mainly because we survey everything we do and we want to know what people think about what we're doing. And it's a great way to get instantaneous feedback, right? So we use this a lot. I'll show this to you. I'm going to show you how easy this is, all right? And then I'm literally going to invite you all to edit the form with me so that each of you can practice building your own question, all right? Because what you'll see is that Forms is so user-friendly. And it does quizzes, just like Mentimeter, and this is free, 1000% available with no limits, where Mentimeter does have some limits, right? So you can do a quiz, which I think is great. I'm not a formal teacher, so I don't use that function as often. So instead, I'm just going to click New Form. And you'll notice it kicks out a whole new window, and it's going to drop in this snazzy little template that it has right here. I am a design snob. I love nice design. Aesthetics matter to me. It helps me stay focused and it's more important to me. I think it can create polish to your look. So I'm going to click theme here and you'll notice that, you know, you can pick your own color, but it's also got a plus sign. With the plus sign, I can go to a picture and you can pick any picture to be your background, which really helps with it too. So here I'm going to put practice, form, making MS Teams work for you, right? So that's the name of our topic today. But I'm going to click share here for just a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click this get a link to view and edit. And I've got to look around my computer here to get that. Sorry. I'm going to click copy here. I'm dropping this right inside the chat as we speak. Okay. So I'm dropping this in the chat and I'm hitting enter. every single person who clicks on this link will be inside this form. So I'm just going to wait for y'all to join me. Carla, I see your question about Prezi. I love Prezi. I also like eMaze. If you've never used eMaze, eMaze and Prezi are fantastic. I am a little partial to Canva lately, but that's, I think, because it's brand new to me. It's my flavor, of the month, if you will, with presentation tools. But I do like Prezi. I haven't used it as much in the last couple of years, but still like it nonetheless. Okay, so check this out. Do y'all see I have over 12, 13 people up here, right? So I see everyone who's in here at the same time. What I'd love for everyone to do is to click add new. We're all going to add a new kind of question. And you can do a choice question, you can do a text question, you can do a rating. Like for example, I'm going to make a silly question. I'm going to say, how about them Cowboys, right? So how many of you like the Cowboys? How many of you don't? I'm going to give it a 10. I'll make the symbol a star. We like that, right? I'm going to make it required, which means people have to fill this out to do it, right? And all of a sudden you'll see my question is there, right? Toro Tuesdays. These might change quite a bit because there's a lot of people in here. But what's fun is you can choose a whole bunch. I don't know what just happened. Okay, I'm going to give it just a second and let y'all do one. I feel like I'm getting in the way. How was your winter break, right? That's a rating. I also want to show you, I use the Likert scale a lot. So I just click down on that arrow and you could do a date. Oops, you could do a ranking. Here we go. So I did the Likert scale, right? So for Likert scale, I can bundle questions all at once. So I can say, tell me who has been the most profound woman in American history, right? Okay, I didn't type all that correctly, right? So here I might put Harriet Tubman. I might also put, I'll put, who am I going to put? Susan B. Anthony. Oops. I'm going to put RBG, right? The notorious RBG here. Okay, so I'm just going to use those three as an example, right? For options, I can then, and watch how this auto populates. I'm going to say not least favorite. Right? Oops. And then here I can go to 5 and put most favorite, right? And then inside this, you can actually begin to options 2, 3, and 4, and you can vote as it goes across, right? So what's something fun you did over winter break? Love it. You guys will see all this, right? Now, let's just have some of you, fill these out for fun and see what happens. I'm also going to click on theme now because once I've activated my form, look how gorgeous some of these pictures are. How sharp does that look, right? Depending on your audience, they can kind of tell we're teachers right now, right? So I could pick this. So for us in PD, we always have a very, very polished background, sophisticated background. I do like things to look uniform and branded, right? Which is important. But here I'm going to click share and I'm actually going to copy this. I'm going to drop this into the form. And then I'm going to let some of you all answer this. I just saw Dr. Mills is a Browns fan. That's funny. Okay. So some of you all, you'll notice there are responses. So what I'm going to do now, because I've shared this and you all have answered some of these questions, I'm going to click response for a second. And what's so killer about this and so amazing, and by the way, remember, this is about making Microsoft Teams work for you. It actually compiles your results as you go. And you could even download individual results. So if you're doing tests with students, it'll tell you what their score is compared to the average, right? And so you'll notice this will keep, here's my Likert scales and all of that. You'll notice that this will keep compiling, okay? I'm going to refresh. Let's just see if anyone else has answered. This is a lot of fun.
How do I get to yours?
Oh, go back to the chat and go to the second link I shared. because you were in editor mode. Now you'll be in participant mode. So when I click share right here, let me not take anything for granted. Notice here how it says send and collect responses. There's a copy here. This is if I want students to answer this, right? Or people that I'm serving, if it's the faculty and staff of TCC, and I want them to come in and tell me about, the training they just took. Was it worth their time? But let's say too, I've got other people contributing to my survey that are helping me build it or edit it. This is where you collaborate with your stakeholders, right? But this is for your customers or your students. I love quizzing, Luann. I'm with you. I think live polling and polls and forms like this are one of the most important things you can do. One thing, and Jeanette knows this, Dr. Loretta knows this, because I was like, oh no, you created my meeting for me, which by the way, typically I love. But if I were the originator of the meeting we're in, I'm bringing this in on purpose because down here where you all see this, if I was the meeting originator, there would be an option for me to do a live poll right here, right now in the chat. But to have that power, you have to be the meeting originator, okay? And so if you don't have that power, you can't run breakout rooms or be the meeting originator or live polling, which was an oversight on my part when we planned the actual invitation for this meeting, because technically I should have been able to do live polling. I'm going to show you all how you could do it here though. So this is actually, this is funny because this shows live polling right here, but do you all see this down here? These are applications inside a chat. If you originate the meeting, and again, I'm going to say this 5 more times, you have to be the meeting initiator. Do not let an admin do it for you. Do not let a coworker do it for you. If you are facilitating, you need to be in control of being the person who sends out the event, because if not, the live polling will not show up and the breakout room feature will not show up, which is why I am not going to be able to show you breakout rooms live, but we're going to show you a video about it, okay? But here you'll notice I'm going to do one for them. Laura Schlotterhoff sent us one playing around, so I'm going to get her back. So do you see this little F down here, right here? I hope you can see it. It's really small, but I can go here, right? So I'm going to click on this. And so as an instructor, if I know I'm getting to a point in the class where I want to teach some teachers, or I'm sorry, teach some teachers. If I want to poll some students to see where we're at right now in the classroom, like we just talked about, I know nothing about nursing. I'll make up a nursing question. What is a healthy blood pressure level? Does that even make sense? Okay, right. So here I'm going to say 30 over 120. You might be dead if that's the case. I don't really know. Don't laugh at me if you are. I'm going to say 180 over 220. I know that you would die if you had that. And then I'm going to say 60 over 120, which sounds pretty good to me, right? I'm even going to click multiple answers for just a second. I can keep the answers anonymous or not, right? I can keep them anonymous if I want, which I think is important. I think creating a flat hierarchy within the classroom is important. You don't always want to call students out, but on the flip side of that, if you do want to know who's saying what, that's important too. Just know you don't always want to call a student out in front of everyone. Everyone has different levels of comfort. Nursing question, none of the above. Did I just kill everyone? I probably did. Notice it lets you have a preview of what you'll be sending, and then you can click send right here. Laura and Jack are going to be like, what the heck is she talking about? But here it goes, right? I'm going to tell them to ignore it. So here, hold on, it's still loading. So if you all were in this chat, you could come in and literally when I checked the right answer, this would populate for me. So I'm going to show this. I'm going to click 180 over 120 for just a second, submit vote, and you'll see this change within about 10 seconds. So if I do that in a classroom full of 25 people, you could say, all right, we just went over this concept. Now let me reinforce the learning and see where you all are at. Instead of having half the classroom fail in front of everyone else, you could say, oh, okay, about 40% of the class gets this. I might want to go back and go over this topic one more time. I'm going to tell them to ignore my cue in a live demo. Haha. They know I'm crazy, so it's fine. Okay. Oh, and it's a sad face. I meant to make that happy. I'll tell them later. All right, so let me pull this down. So that's how live polling works. That's how MS Forms works. Polly's another popular one. Polly's this little parrot down here. So if you ever want to learn about Polly, you can actually go, if you click on the ... for more apps, you can find out about Polly. I see y'all saying all the nurses are hecklers. Okay, let me pull this Teams out and I'm going to go to my next topic. This will take just a second. Oh, and thanks y'all for all the positive comments and jokes. Y'all have got jokes all day in the chat.
Question about the
Sure.
polls before you move on.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if I want to do polls in the chat, can I preload them? Because I've done the ones in MS Forms, but I can't. The students can't see the answers in the chat. So I want to do the polling, but I can't lecture and poll at the same time.
So no, you cannot. That's my fast answer, and it's not a good answer. I wish I had a different one. The good news is that we talk with our Microsoft EDU consultant once a month. I meet with her, Dr. Carolyn Hamilton does too, and we give them this kind of feedback. And so we've already told them that that's a frustration or a pain point for us as facilitators. You can't do that ahead of time. But one workaround that our team has done is we'll have a Microsoft Word document on a second screen where we copy and paste really fast. I mean, that's the best workaround we've come up with. But that's why if you do have the opportunity to team teach, or if you're ever in a webinar situation or a meeting situation, we literally have what we call a presenter, and then we have a producer. The presenter's talking, taking care of engagement this way, looking directly at you, has the energy, is kind of the face of the presentation. And then we'll have a producer that's running the chat, running the poll, so that they know exactly when I'm about to ask a question, and they'll drop that in for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I saw it in a presentation and I really liked it. And I did the MS Teams, the first one that you showed, and my students really like it, but they can't see the results. Except for if I tell them. So I like the polling a little bit better. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I like the polling too. I will say this, if you do a form, I'm going to show y'all a silly one that we did over the holidays with silly questions because it is nothing too serious. But
Okay, did it freeze for everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it did for me.
I think it's Judith.
Oh.
All right, looks like we'll just be patient.
It's probably her internet connection.
Jim, in order to get the MS Forms thing, you got to go to your apps. To your Microsoft apps.
We can't hear you.
okay, I'm coming back.
Luann, is Microsoft
There we
Forms?
go. I'm back. Okay, sorry. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm back.
Yes.
Go ahead and ask the question. I know someone else. Thank you for whoever picked up that conversation. Go ahead with forms.
I was asking Luann Tyree if Microsoft Forms was what she uses to poll her faculty.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
I use it all the time.
Yeah,
Yes.
polling's great. I really think, and y'all, as soon as this ends, the training ends at 2:30, I've got all these videos already queued up and ready to go. I'll drop all these in the chat so you all can get another demo if needed, or you can always go back and watch this. I also have examples of different polls we've created too. Now, just to be mindful of time, because I've got about 15 minutes left, I do want to show you all breakout rooms. Breakout rooms just dropped around Thanksgiving, right? And so here I've got the quote from Brene Brown, which is really important to me about breakouts is, I define connection as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. I bring that up because sometimes when we're in a large group, we don't always feel seen, heard, and valued. So breakout rooms is this new way that you can push people out during a meeting into smaller groups. They can process, dialogue, brainstorm, right? They can whiteboard. I love, when I was teaching, I always did technology scavenger hunts where it's like, okay, I'm going to give you a topic. I'm going to give you, diabetes type 1. You've got 15 minutes to go find out everything you can about that and come back to me, right? And so scavenger hunts work, parent share, or a group quiz. Breakout rooms are fantastic. And it's really, really important that you all think about how you can use them. The problem is I didn't initiate this meeting, so I can't literally push you all out into breakout rooms, but I can show you a short video that I will drop into the chat when this ends, because I know it's something that as an instructor and as a facilitator, I've used it quite a bit, and it's super easy to do. I feel like it's really well organized. You can make it random or not, so you can actually just randomly push people out where you say there's 15 people here, I want 3 per room, and it randomizes it. Or you can get as detailed as even naming the rooms and assigning specific people to it. So if you use things like, we used to call them base families, base groups, when we did learning communities where you were always in the same group across the whole semester, you can make those breakouts happen that way too. But breakouts are really great. You do have the ability to share your screen. You do have the ability to chat inside those. So it's the same thing as a meeting, it's just the micro version of it. And then the facilitator can actually end the breakout groups and everyone lands back on the original meeting as well. So do know that that function's available. The only kicker and the only thing that can interrupt that is if you did not originate the meeting yourself. So if you plan on using breakouts, make sure you create the invitation for the meeting, or just like today, I won't be able to demo it, okay? So we've got about 13 minutes left, and I really am just gonna take a quick poll so you all can drop this in the chat. Would you rather me show a video on breakout rooms or on how to use the bookings page? The bookings page is an application inside MS Teams that syncs with your calendar so that you can actually create a website for things like your office hours and stuff like that. It's also really great for tutoring appointments or one-on-one appointments. I can show you really quick. I made one for the PD team. This is an app, so notice here it says bookings. It's also in calendar now, which is really cool. I'll show you this and then we can
We can't see the screen now.
Let me reshare it. Thank you for telling me that. Hold on just a second. Okay, it should be, do y'all see it now? It's still loading. But like I said, bookings is something that I just learned about. One of my friends from another system told me about it because she was using it for her ESL students. She was having a hard time with ESL students coming in for their assigned times. And so the bookings page, I'll click here to about. I'm going to actually go to the website so you all can see it. You actually can create your own landing page. They use this a lot in businesses or in enterprise. Oh, I didn't want to go to that web page. To where you can actually, I'm actually going to show you this video. This is Saginaw Valley State University and how their writing tutoring center is using it. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for you all now.
Hello, my name is Lizzie and I'm a tutor at the SVSU Writing Center. Today I'm going to walk you through signing up for a tutorial session using our new Microsoft Teams booking system. This new system is really simple to use and it lets you see your tutor face to face as well as share your paper on your screen. To start, go to www.svsu.edu/writing center and navigate to our online tutoring page by selecting this link. Once you're on this page, simply scroll down until you see the large button labeled Schedule a Session and select it. That button will lead you to this page in Microsoft Bookings. The calendar on the left shows which dates we are available for sessions. You'll notice that if you select a date in gray, that means there are no available sessions. The dates in black are days where tutors are available to work with you. Simply select the day you would like to schedule a session and choose from one of the time slots listed on the right. The drop-down menu will show you which tutors are available during that day, and you can select the tutor available during your chosen time slot. Once you have made your selections, you can confirm on the top the day, time, and tutor that you have chosen. Next, we just ask for basic information about yourself, the assignment you're writing, your language background, and most importantly, your biggest concern for your draft. You can choose from this drop-down menu here. You'll talk about lots of things during your appointment, but tell us what is most important to you right now. Once you've filled out these forms, simply press Book and you will be registered for an online tutorial session. Once you've scheduled a session, you'll receive an email in your SVSU inbox confirming the details of your session. This email will also have a link that you can press to join the session with your tutor at your scheduled time. The same information can be found in the Microsoft Teams app calendar if you decide to download the app. If you need to cancel your appointment for any reason, open it up in the Microsoft Teams calendar, hover over this button, and choose Decline.
Okay, so that is a quick little video about bookings. I created let me go to, I think it's on the Office page. I created a page for the PD team because we get questions about, people who want to do different PD sessions, or if they have questions about performance review, or if they have questions about, how do I create this series within the Learn Center? And so when I go to bookings, you'll see, again, it's this little green bee. I don't know if you can see it. It's all the way towards the bottom, but I'm going to click there. And I actually built my own website. This was really easy. I did this in probably, 2 hours one day. I was just playing around with it, trying to figure out how to utilize it. So when you saw that web page that the Writing Center was navigating, you'll see that you can actually do this for yourself, right? And so I can go to Calendar right here. With Calendar, you'll actually block out when you are or aren't available. I also added all of my team members here too, so that their calendars count too. I can actually show you the booking page. You can customize it with different colors, right? I'm going to open the published page so you can see how we organize this. This isn't live yet. I'm still getting it approved. I was working on this the last week in December. But here you'll notice I wanted to book 30 minutes compliance training help desk, MS Teams help desk, because we were fielding a lot of those questions, performance review help desk, Learn Center help desk, and then a PD consultation if you have an idea, right? So then we would sync those with our calendars and you can actually pick those dates, add details, and you click book, and we get an email and you get an email confirming that date. So when you think about your office hours as professors, or you think about your departmental hours, if you're running a department or a division, and maybe, I know when I was a dean, I would meet with faculty a whole lot, and it was so hard to get in sometimes, right? So instead of having one person manage your calendar, it just syncs with everything right here, which is really great. So I highly recommend Bookings if you haven't used it yet. Really user-friendly. I've heard it works better like on the student services side with advising, with counseling, with tutoring appointments. So if you work with any of those people and they're looking for more efficient ways to manage their time, definitely think about Bookings. And then for breakout rooms, we do have time. It's a 3-minute video, so let me pull that one up really fast. And I will show you the breakout rooms video. And again, I'm going to drop all this for you in the chat. I should have this bookmarked. There it is. So that you all can definitely see how to use this. Again, breakout rooms is probably my favorite. I'm going to show you this one right here. Okay, this trainer is really great. Again, all you have to do is Google MS Teams and whatever you're wanting to learn, and it'll show you. I'll have to.
Want to stand out online?
Just a second.
Go to Wix.com and create a professional website that's sure to get you noticed.
Sorry about that. I usually have them fast
Hi
forwarded.
everyone, my name is Kevin. Today I want to show you how you can use breakout groups in Microsoft Teams. And as full disclosure, before we jump into this, I work at Microsoft as a full-time employee. My HR department requires me to say that. First off, what are breakout groups? Well, imagine that you're in a school setting. Maybe I'm a teacher and I have a class of a bunch of students and we're going through a lecture. And then perhaps partway through the lecture, I want my students to break out into smaller groups where they could carry on a group discussion, or maybe they work on a project, and then they could rejoin the bigger group at the end. Or maybe you work in a workplace and you want to have a brainstorming session and you want people to break up into smaller teams or groups. You can do that using Microsoft Teams. It requires a few manual steps, and I'm going to show you step by step how you can do that. Sound good? Well, why don't we jump on the PC and I'll show you how you can do it. Here I am on my PC and I have a team that's already set up, and I'm going to pretend that I'm a teacher and I have a number of students. I'm leading a YouTube creation course. Now, let's say I have 9 students in my course, and maybe I'm going to start out with a lecture, and then I want them to break out into smaller groups, and then we'll come back into the larger group at the end. So how do you set up breakout groups? Well, the easiest way to do that in Microsoft Teams is to set up individual channels as breakout groups. And so let me show you what I mean by that. So here I am in my YouTube creation course team, and what I'm going to do is click on the more options ellipses, or the ... here, and what I'm going to click on is add channel. Now,
You all, I'm sorry, this is the wrong one. This was the old school one. I just made a mistake. I'll tell you what I'll do because it's 2:26. I just made a huge mistake. I will drop in the actual video that I meant to show that you could launch within the meeting. I apologize for that. That's the one I had bookmarked and it's not correct. But we do have 5 minutes left, so I promise you there's going to be more training on breakout rooms to come, but I will drop in the correct video in this video chat. But for the last 5 minutes, I just want to see if there's any questions. I know there were a few about an hour ago, since you have me on the line, where I could maybe show you some quick tips or different things that you might want to know. I could also hang out for a little bit after 2:30 as well. So I'll just kind of step back and open it up. If you have a question, you could either drop it in the chat or verbalize it for me by unmuting yourself.
Judith, this is Tom. Looking at the other breakout room schedules, the last group of breakout sessions started at 2:15. So
okay.
So, I think I for one would be more than willing to stay late after class and continue to learn. And so I don't think we have to be super strict on when we stop. So you can do what you want with that, but just don't want that to constrain you.
I'll tell you what, because I think breakout rooms is probably the biggest breakthrough that we've had with Microsoft Teams. I would love to show that. And then I have a 3 o'clock, but that's it. So I'll show this quick 5-minute video on breakout rooms, and then I can just hang out and see if y'all have any questions. Does that sound like a fair trade?
Super for me.
Awesome. I'm so glad y'all are finding meaning from this. Good, Elizabeth. I see her saying show breakout. Sometimes I never know where people are going to be when I come into a Microsoft Teams training. And so I kind of have to ride the wave a little bit. Like, what do we know? What do we don't know? So I'm glad that this is all new information for you all. I think this one's it because I know it's 8 minutes. Hold on just a second. P.S. I'm not just saying this. I'm so obsessed with Microsoft Teams, if you all can't tell. It's been my favorite. I've never taught technology before.
Breakout room.
Is this the one that's right? Let me fast forward it. And I just think they've done such a great job with, okay, this is definitely it. This one's it. They've done such a great job with everything. And I really want to encourage you all, the third Thursday of every month, the CTL and PD are doing monthly sessions called What's New with Microsoft EDU with our resident Microsoft learning consultant, Monique Lindsay, where she just comes in and does what I'm doing. And these are things that James Skills and I don't even know about yet. So when she comes in and does it, we're learning along with you. So keep an eye out on the PD schedule and the CTL schedule for What's New with Microsoft EDU to stay up to date on all of this. All right, I'm going to go ahead.
What time are those going to be?
They are the third Thursday. They're at lunch because it's a lunch and learn. They're 12 to 1 on the third Thursday of every month starting in February. We did October and November, and then we broke for winter break. We didn't want to compete with Connections Week schedules this next week and with school starting, so we'll pick it back up in February. I'll send it to you, Dr. Mills.
To get meeting invites sent?
Sure. Yeah, I can definitely do that. They've actually been super successful. We launched the first one and we just threw a dart at the wall, and we had 38 people at our first one, and by the second one we had almost 60. So we've only done it twice, and the response was so big. We were like, wow, this is so encouraging. So yeah, we'll definitely send an email and try to do repeat sessions. All right, here we go. Here is the ever anticipated beautiful function of breakout rooms. All right, so here we go.
I'll be showing breakout rooms in Microsoft Teams meetings. So I have a meeting here, and I'm going to click it, and I'll click join. Turn on my video. So I'm going to join a meeting, and we're going to break people into rooms, and we'll show exactly how this all works. So let's click join. Hey folks, great to be in this meeting today. We're going to be showing breakout rooms in Teams. So to get started, what I'm going to do is on the top of my meeting, there's this little breakout rooms icon, and I'm going to click this.
Okay, I'm pausing very intentionally because I want to bring attention to the fact that the only person that can see the box with the little box inside it is who? The person who initiated the meeting. So no one can see that except for the person who's in control of the meeting invitation, okay? Okay, I said I'd say that 5 more times. Here we go.
The first thing it's going to ask me is, how many breakout rooms do you want to create? Now, I'll just be creating 4 today, and I'll drop this down and choose 4, but you can create up to 50 breakout rooms, so you've got a lot of flexibility. The other option here is participants, and would you like to automatically assign them, which I'll be doing here, and it says assign 15 people into 4 rooms, or you can choose to manually add participants into each breakout room, but I'll be choosing automatically, and I'll say create rooms. It says they're being created. Now in the right-hand pane, you can see it's created 4 different rooms, and it has 4 people, 4 people, 4 people, and 3. The number of people is indicated with that little parentheses there. Now I could choose to add additional rooms here, which I'm not going to do, but I can also rename the rooms. So in this case, I'm going to choose the ... menu and choose to rename this room, and we'll give them colors. So this is the blue room, and we'll just speed ahead and rename the other rooms colors. So give me just a second. Okay, now you can see that I've renamed the 4 breakout rooms as 4 colors. What I can do next is I can actually choose to move people around. So you can see as I open up each room, you can see these people are assigned automatically to the rooms. And I haven't started the rooms yet. So let's say I have Mr. Adam Short Shorts here. He's in the blue room. But you know what? I think he's on Team Flipgrid. He should be in the green room, right, Adam? So let's assign. And I'm going to move Adam over to the green room. So now down here you can see that Adam is in the green room. So it's really easy to move people around if they're not in the room that gets automatically assigned. Let's go into room settings. So go to the ... and click room settings. And by default, everyone gets automatically moved into open rooms. But I could uncheck that if I wanted to do it manually. But we'll leave it checked. Also, you can recreate the rooms. What does that mean? That means I can blast away all the current rooms, and it will let me recreate like 5 or 10 more rooms. I'm not going to do that right here, but if you need to restart and blast them away, that's where you do it. And now we are ready to start our rooms. So I'm going to click the Start Rooms button right here. And on the attendee side, what's going to happen is they're going to get pulled into the breakout room that I've set up. So they'll get pulled out of this main meeting, and they will get pulled into their breakout room meetings. And then we'll show what it looks like to be inside on the attendee side. So let's click Start Rooms and get ready to say goodbye to everyone. They're going to get moved into their rooms. Bye.
It literally...
Now, what if somebody joins the meeting late?
I'm going to pause for just a second. As an instructor, I think it's important to know that once you deploy them to the breakout rooms, everyone gets a 10-second countdown. You will be moved in 10 seconds. So it spins so everyone knows what's about to happen. And then slowly but surely, people just start popping out. Okay. And no, you cannot create breakout rooms before the meeting begins. You can't predetermine it, mainly because you can't put someone in a breakout room who doesn't exist in the meeting, right? So just know you can have an idea of where you're going, but you can't fully plan ahead because you have to know who's attending first, okay? And who's present.
Here's an example right here. Oh my gosh, Mike, I'm totally late. Where do I go? Oh, don't worry, Ann. I will be able to assign you to a room. You know, I think you would be perfect in the green room with Team Flipgrid. So I'm going to assign Ann right here. So Ann Cosmo. I'm going to select her name and choose Assign. And it asks which room. I'm going to put you in the green room. Bye-bye, Ann. one thing I can do is send a message to everyone that I want to communicate. So I can make an announcement across all the breakout rooms. Hey folks, start brainstorming on your whiteboard, and I'll send this and everyone will get this message in their chat.
Mm-hmm.
We've sent your announcement to all of the rooms. Now what I'll be doing is I'm going to switch and show what it looks like from the attendee experience from people who are already inside the breakout room. So we're just going to switch over now. Now we're inside of the blue breakout room. There's 3 people in here, Benjamin, Kayla, and Steven. Then Steven in the lower right is going to open up the meeting chat. He's driving the meeting here. Now you can see he's going to turn on recording. He's also going to turn on transcripts because all those features work in this Teams meeting. Now they have a visitor here. Hey, there's me. Now Steven's going to turn on together mode because together mode works inside of these meetings as well. Now Steven's starting the whiteboard. Along the bottom, you can see the speaker attribution. You can see Steven talking, Kayla, and then Benjamin. Steven is leading a session on the whiteboard, but you can see this is a fully operational Teams meeting and everything is captured. Now note in the upper right, there's a new announcement, a new message. Now Steven's going to open the chat panel, and this is a message sent by the organizer, who was me in this case. So that comes right through and everyone can get a sense of what the announcements are. Now I'm going to leave this meeting and go show how the organizer can officially join into another breakout room. I'm going to go visit the green room and see how they're doing in there. I click the ... and I'll click join room. This is great. We have a lot of things to work with. Hey folks, that is a beautiful looking whiteboard. I'm joining the green room. This is where the party is. Woo! Great. So I'm going to go and leave now and make a message post to tell everyone to come back into the main room. I'll see y'all later. And then to just go back into my main meeting, I click resume. Now the breakout rooms have had plenty of time to be working on their brainstorming. I'm going to send a message that I'll be closing the breakout rooms in just a minute. So we go to the ... again, choose make an announcement. I'll be closing the breakout rooms in 1 minute. So I'll send this out. We've sent an announcement to all the rooms. Okay, now to close the rooms out and bring everyone back into this meeting, I'm going to click close rooms. So it'll bring everyone back. Now I've switched to one of the breakout rooms to show what they experienced. There's a message that appears that says this room will close in 10 seconds and you'll automatically be moved back into the main meeting. Hey everyone, welcome back from the breakout rooms. Looks like lots of great brainstorming and collaboration was happening in there. Now the way it works is you can see on the right hand side, each of the rooms is now closed. So none of the attendees can go back in. The other thing that happens is if you're an attendee who is in a breakout room, all of the files and whiteboard and information will be stored in a meeting chat that the educator or the owner of that meeting can access. So I will be able to go and access each of those 4 breakout rooms materials, and I'll show what that looks like in a second. If you're in a breakout room, you can only access the materials of your own breakout room. So the red room can't go check out the green room stuff and vice versa. But you will have read-only access to those materials. One other thing to note, as the meeting organizer, I have the ability to go and change the rights of organizer versus attendees. All of the people in the breakout rooms by default are as presenters, but if I wanted to change that beforehand, I could go into meeting options as the meeting organizer and set different people to have different roles before those breakout rooms start. So if you only want to have a group leader who has the rights to do a whiteboard or presenting, you can set those in the meeting options beforehand. Now, after this meeting is over, if I wanted to create participants into new breakout rooms, I could still do that. So I could add additional rooms here and I could reshuffle things. I've just done the simple version where we just had breakout rooms that started and ended, but you could add more and change that around afterwards if you wanted as well. Now the meeting is complete. As the organizer, I can see the 4 breakout rooms, green, blue, red, and yellow. These are stored as meeting chats. And as the organizer, I can go and see there was a meeting, there's a meeting transcript. If there were whiteboards in here, I can check that out right here, and meeting notes. So for example, if I go to the blue room and click on whiteboard, I can get access to the exact whiteboard that they were working on. And then in the main meeting itself, this is the main meeting chat that everyone has access to. You can see there's a nice photo of together mode. So this allows you to gather all the content that was aggregated as the organizer. And as a reminder, the people in the yellow room only have access to their yellow room chat. They can't see the red or blue or green. They can only see the room that they were in. If you found this video useful, give it a like. Now, if you want to keep up with all the latest quick tip videos that I'll keep releasing, subscribe to my channel and then just ring the bell so you get notified for all the new videos that post.
Okay, let that last part play because, hold on, let me escape out of that. This guy, what's his name? Mike, his name is Mike. He is amazing. We talk about his videos. What is his name? It's because it's been since December. Mike Tholfsen, there it is. Mike Tholfsen has a really great, let me close out of that, has a really fantastic YouTube channel where they do all of the different Microsoft updates that are happening. And so I highly recommend subscribing to his YouTube channel if that's something that you're comfortable with. Now, I had someone ask me, how do we...
Judith, how do you spell his name? I couldn't make out.
Tholfsen. It's THOLFSEN. I think it's Mike.
Thank you.
And this is where our Microsoft EDU consultant gets all her new drops too. She said literally when you work at Microsoft, you come in on Monday morning and you look at his channel. Like that's where they get all the same new information. Yes, Artris, I hope I'm saying your name right. Artris, I will definitely drop the recording from today's training as soon as it's done. Some of you were asking, how do I see the whiteboard from the meeting, right? So I'm going to go back here. I'm actually going to go to a calendar meeting. I'm going to go back to December because I'll show you where we had I had a really great whiteboard meeting. We did a PD retreat towards the end of the semester where I wanted to make sure that we were planning for the future, right? So on this Monday during this PD retreat, I'm going to click on this meeting. Do you see up here all of these different functions? So inside every meeting that you have, and this is even with breakouts, whiteboard is always an option. And so if I click on the whiteboard that was used for that, you do have to initiate it from inside the meeting. This is where it would show up. Now, again, you all know at this point that I am an Office aficionado. I love Office. I go here every day. In fact, if you're not using Microsoft Edge, which is the new Internet Explorer, highly recommend it because Edge actually keeps all your Microsoft documents pinned that you've been working on. But whiteboard right here. So again, I'm just at office.com, logged in with my TCCD credentials. Notice all of my latest documents are right here because I'm in Edge. So I'm going to click on whiteboard. Y'all, whiteboard has the coolest, newest features, which you can use with your students. I'm going to show you this. It's really important that as you are using whiteboard, so I'm going to click create new whiteboard. I use whiteboards a lot because I have to say the number one thing that I miss about working face-to-face is going into a room with a bunch of whiteboards and brainstorming and solving a problem. It's something I do a lot. It's my preferred way to sort of process information. So if I go to create new whiteboard, it's going to take me here. Now, it's also going to say, do I want to open in the application? If you're on a Mac, you can't always do this. I'm going to go ahead and share this with you all once I open it, but I strongly recommend opening in the app, and I'm going to show you why. It has templates for brainstorming. And so as this is coming about, I'm going to show you all this. I'm actually going to bring you in here if you want. I've got about 10 more minutes, so we're all good. By the way, PD is launching trainings on each of the applications starting in February for whiteboard, for forms, for all of those things. So if you're really excited about what you've learned today, don't worry, there's more coming, and we will definitely publish this in Inside TCC. So read those emails. Okay, so right now I'm sitting inside this whiteboard. I'm going to go ahead and click on this plus person link, right? And you'll notice here it's trying to say, well, who do you want to work with? I'm going to go to more options and create a sharing link. Once I create a sharing link, let me do that again. I'm going to turn this on. It's going to give me this link here. So this is how you can get a whole classroom into a whiteboard. Now I'm going to drop this into the chat. And that's going to happen. But so you all should start coming inside. But do you see this plus sign? For anyone doing strategic plan, I'm a strategic planning dork too. Love that stuff. So I'm going to click on template right here. Okay. And all of a sudden they have templates for brainstorming. right? So I can use this template here where people who come in can all type different ideas that they have. You can, make it different colors. I can turn this blue, right? I can create agenda items. We can like it. I'm going to just delete that real fast and show you all a different one. Oh, it's not going to let me. Okay, I'm going to pan out. Whiteboard is as expansive as you want it to be. I can also do like follow-up lists, a note grid. I can also do, I'm going to do another template. I love this template down here. Let's say I work in the counseling department and I'm wanting to figure out, this is great for students, the KWL, what you know, what you want to learn, and any previous knowledge you've already had. So you can drop that in. But I love this one. It's called an empathy map. So here, let's say I'm trying to think about a student who is on academic probation, right? And I really want to understand the mindset of that student. What might they be saying to themselves? What might they be thinking to themselves? What might they be doing or not doing? What might they be feeling, right? And so what about them? What pain points do they have? And so all these templates are involved here on the whiteboard. I'm going to pull this aside. But on the flip side, oops, let me delete that. On the flip side of that, you can also just use this as like grid paper if you're teaching math, right? I know my mom was a math teacher, and when I showed her this, she was like, oh my gosh, what I would have done for this to have, live tutoring instruction. So you can also decorate your page. So I'm going to go here. I want my active pen on right. Oops, I went to the wrong setting. I'm going to go here. Format background, there we go. So let's say we're actually using graph paper. I can click on this graph paper right here, and that'll make that happen. I can do squares, right? And so this can happen, so it looks like all of that. And then I can use this, and I could actually write out problems, right? I'm definitely not a mathematician, so don't make fun of me. But you could do things like this and do live instruction. But as someone who, I'm going to turn that off. As someone who was a writing instructor and not a math instructor, I would have been more likely to have used templates like this to do brainstorming. Like, okay, we're going to write a research paper about, X, Y, or Z. What are your supporting ideas, and to come up with all of that, right? So whiteboard is a lot of fun. Some people love it, some people don't. I think it depends on your learning style or your work style. For those of you who are highly collaborative and visual, like this girl right here, I can do this all day long. So it's something that I really love. Do y'all have any questions about it?
Yeah, if I can chime in just for a second.
Sure.
So now what you just did is actually basically on the web, you basically saved it and then inserted a link into your meeting. And that is how you enabled students to be able to come and collaborate on that whiteboard?
Correct. However, in meeting settings, there's also an automatic way to click on that. I just haven't used it as much. So I'm going to hit close again. So now you're looking at my, so these are all meetings I have, right? So I'm going to double click here. And built in up here across the top, do you see this plus sign? Every single meeting that you have has the ability to have these customized functions. So I'm just going to click on that plus sign. And if I wanted forms to be as an option in that meeting, I could drop that there. So if I just put in whiteboard, I mean, it's already there for me, but if you don't see it, this is how you could add whiteboard, is by clicking on that plus sign. So whiteboard's there, and it should be there automatically for most meetings, but just in case it's not, you can customize that by clicking the plus sign. On the flip side of that, let's say you're giving your students 30 minutes to create a collective PowerPoint. I can add PowerPoint to it too, and you'll see this pop up, right?
Yeah, but the piece that I'm missing here is that in other platforms, you know how you talked about, me being the presenter or whatever, and everybody else is an attendee. Then in most platforms, they would not have access to that. It would only be me be able to write on that.
On the whiteboard?
Yes.
Oh, no, in Teams, everyone can.
Oh,
in Teams, everyone can. Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know if I said that. Yeah, everyone has access to it as long as they're inside the platform. Now, it could be that they won't have as much functionality. If you open it in the application, which will have the same view if you're inside the meeting, it should have more functionality, like the templates, like adding pictures and stuff like that. Dr. Mills, your hand's up?
Yes, so I noticed, you mentioned being able to essentially add PowerPoint to a particular meeting. Now, our normal way, like if we have a shared PowerPoint presentation that we're preparing, it's already a shared file, and someone might share their screen, or we might just open up our shared file. What's an example of, what's a scenario where you would want to use PowerPoint kind of as an internal app like you described? I'm not sure if that's the right term.
I mean, that's a good question. I'm going to take a soft skills approach to this one just for fun, because I don't have like a technical example off the top of my head. But let's say it's the first day of class, because I know you all are starting class next week, and I'm going to create a breakout room where you're going to have a group of 5 people introduce one another. So maybe there's a shared PowerPoint where we have to get a picture of each person and then 5 nuances about them, and then one thing that we all have common ground about. So maybe each person is designing a different slide for one particular slideshow. I just picked PowerPoint because it was staring at me right then in the moment.
Right.
But that's just something I'm thinking about out loud.
And then that whenever you save that, it would then be saved in the files for that particular meeting, correct?
Correct. And what's even crazier, if you all aren't using OneDrive yet, OneDrive shares everything automatically. And also in Teams, I'm actually going to pull this up. If you open up anything in Teams, if you go to your files, oops, where's my files app? Files likes to hide from me. Where did it go? Oh, there it is, right there. If you click on your Files app, anything you open inside Teams will automatically be saved right here as a recent doc. So I can actually, if I wanted to share, this is my job description, right? So let's say I'm working on my job description. I want to quickly share that. I can copy the link, drop it to anyone in a chat, and they'll be able to access this document inside Teams, which is crazy. I can also click on OneDrive and all of my files will show up right there as well. OneDrive is like the new universe I'm stepping into, that and OneNote. I saw someone asking about OneNote. Those are sort of the 2 things I'm diving into the most right now, because I don't have as much information on them, but we're learning because we're wanting to really deliver this information to the college about how to use it.
Can I throw in a question for another day because I'm a huge OneDrive person.
Yeah.
And it's the file the ability to move files and stuff that, there's very little drag and drop in Teams when you do that. And so I have synced my SharePoint files, which is where all the Teams files go, to OneDrive, so that when I change something in Teams, it automatically syncs all the way to my OneDrive, and I can use the File Explorer to kind of manage my files.
Nice.
But I'm trying to get a handle on when files, like when someone shares a file with me in a chat, I haven't quite got a handle on how to manage files within Teams, so that, because I'm a person that has to have them in a folder that's named a certain way, and I got to be able to find it.
That's where I'm still a little old school.
Teams seems to kind of want to just dump everything in there, and kind of, they don't organize them in alphabetical order. It's all by what you worked on last, and I just that's all kind of a mystery to me how that's supposed to work, and so I'm looking for some help in figuring out how to make that full conversion.
Okay, I'm going to teach you a really quick trick. Are you looking at my screen right now? I know it looks messy. It's on my chats. Okay, so if you go up here to the search bar, I learned this last semester, and you click the / button. This is called a keyboard shortcut. So you've got / do not disturb. If I want to suddenly have no one bother me, D&D happens. But I can also do / files to see all my recent files. Do you see that? So then I could click that, and it'll filter it, and they'll all pop up right there.
Okay.
That's one little quick fix. If you're like, I just had that file, do a /files and see if that helps. So this will be all the recent things that you've opened up, right?
Guess I'm more worried about a file that I worked on 9 months ago, and I need to go find it because I've got to show what work was done or whatever.
Yeah.
And if I don't go in and curate those in File Explorer outside of Teams, I don't know how to find it.
That's a good point. I mean, this is where you don't want to know my system. That's where I'll start Googling things inside my email box. It's not cute. I would say file organization is like one of those things I'm always trying to get better at, right? But if any of y'all have any tips and tricks, let me know. I'm giggling that you said SharePoint and OneDrive because one of my direct reports who's designing the training for OneDrive just told me that. She goes, you can get SharePoint to talk to OneDrive. And I literally said to her, is SharePoint like old school though? And now that I'm hearing you say that it backs everything up, I might be wrong. So I'm going to tell her that
every file you share in Teams is
in SharePoint.
SharePoint, basically Teams is built on top of SharePoint.
I didn't realize that. I need to get on the SharePoint train. That's what I hear you saying.
What I also done is I figured out how to sync OneDrive and SharePoint to my File Explorer, so I can manage all the files through just the old school File Explorer, which is infinitely easier.
Yeah. It's so much like the human brain when there's so much capacity and you just know so little about it, right? And so just know we're always looking for new tips and tricks and ways to help you all. Yeah, y'all love the /. I'm looking at the chat. The / is a really fun one. Listen, if you all want more tips, tricks, hacks, please keep an eye out for the PD. I have a director's meeting in 4 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and wind up. I'm so glad you all were able to stay and hang out longer to learn more about this. We are always open and available. I want to say always open, but we're always open to be scheduled for meetings, specifically with MS Teams, specifically with virtual engagement tips, tricks, and hacks. I know that virtual engagement is this new thing that we're all trying to wrap our heads around, and it's not going away. We'll never go back to the way we were, right? And so if your department, if your team, the way we put it in Team PD is if you've got 5 or more people that want to learn something, we can schedule a session for you. So don't be afraid to reach out. I'm going to drop in. Oh, good. I'll see you next week, Elizabeth, in the next class. I'm going to drop in some of those videos I promised you today. Give me about an hour to get them there. I'm also going to be dropping in the recording here as well. And then please keep a lookout for our PD offerings, which will be posted at Inside TCC towards the end of January for our February, March, and April lessons. Lessons and sessions. Thank you so much. Oh, yes, I am coming to yours. I'm also presenting, if you all want more about Microsoft Teams, I am presenting in the Learning Commons Summit Friday. A lot of the same stuff, but a little bit more geared towards tutoring. So yeah, let me know if you guys need anything. And thanks for your support. Yeah, I look forward to you guys. Listen, all of y'all have a wonderful spring 2021 semester. Oh, it's the first day of school on Tuesday, and I just wish y'all the very best. And thank you so much for the important work you do to lift up our community through the power of higher ed. Thank you. We'll see you soon, okay?